Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space, created weekly, is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Excited to have you here today, as I'm sure you are ready to hear what will be an authentic, very genuine, vulnerable, very brave on my side episode just on the behind the scenes of my healing journey as of recently. Before we do that though, let's go ahead and talk about the Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. I just want to take a moment to shout out one of the gals that I not only coach online, but just she's become a great friend. She's local here to Colorado. She's one of the girls that I will train with. And last night we were sitting down for food and she was like, I was really proud of myself. Like, dating has been really hard and I put myself out there by asking for what it is that I wanted. And while nothing has come of it yet, like, I'm not focusing on the lack of results or the outcome that has happened thus far. I'm choosing to focus on the fact that I stepped out of my comfort zone, that I was brave, that I spoke up for myself, that I took a step forward in doing what it is that I wanted. And I just really commend that, especially in the new chapter that I'm currently starting. That is something that I'm hoping to embody myself. But I think that, again, it goes back to this idea of we can't control a lot in this life. All we can really control and focus on is what we do and the perspective of how we view the actions that we take. And I think her perspective of going from, oh, well, this turned into something successful versus this didn't, and not focusing on that, and instead focusing on like, wow, like, you know, Nikki from a couple months ago would have never dared to do that. And Nikki today is finding her strength and stepping into her power and is doing that. And so I just think that that's absolutely wonderful. I think that that's applicable, whether it's personal life, professional life, athletics, I mean, literally anything. I think being able to shift the perspective of like, but look at the steps that I took and the person that I'm becoming, that is so, so powerful. So I just wanted to shout that moment out. And I think that's just a perfect segue into what I want to talk about today, which is the behind the scenes, the raw, the real, the vulnerable of my healing journey over the last couple of weeks. It's been a few weeks now since my life has shifted in a pretty big way. And I just want to start off by saying thank you. I have received a crazy amount of support and love, just like, I feel like daily. There's just something, whether it's a conversation in person or text message, a message on Instagram. I mean, just so much. Your words, just please know that these kind words are truly helping me build the belief that I really do deserve a lot, that I deserve so much in this life, and that the best is truly yet to come. I have a lot of people asking like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, how are you really? And I'll be honest, that answer differs from day to day. Some days I feel like I'm stepping into my power and I feel so amazing about the direction that my life is going in. Others, I feel incredibly overwhelmed by grieving a fantasy that I created for my life that is no longer going to happen ever. There is a lot of newness in my life right now. And again, while some of it feels really cool and awesome, there's other parts that are just terrifying and feel really uncomfortable. There's days where I feel like I'm in the middle of a dream and I'll eventually wake up from it. And there's just this disbelief that like, wait, did this actually happen? Like, there's still like that shock and surprise of it all. And there's days where my mind is totally calm and it's at peace, and Then there's others where I'm drowning in intrusive ruminations and feeling triggered by literally everything. All that to say, healing is really hard. It's messy. It's by no means linear, as much as I wish that it was. I feel myself trying to speed up the process so that I can get out of like this really uncomfortable spot. And then I have to come back and be gracious with myself and remind myself that, yes, this hurts, but you have to live in the suck a little bit, because that is the only way to actually put some of these demons to rest. And I truly do believe that, as hard as it is. And so I was on a call with my therapist a week ago, and I just felt this need of like, okay, you know, there's part of me that needs to sit in it, and there's other parts of me that need to actually start to take action. And I don't want to rush that process, because I know that like the first few weeks when it happened, I was still in the house with him, and like I really couldn't process. It was just this mad dash to find this new place to live and to move out and to get settled. And now that I'm like finally by myself, like I am being hit with this like shit, this sucks. I need to process this and really feel this and really grieve this. And then there's also like, again, that part of me, like I said, that might want to rush the process, where I'm trying to fix and to do and distract. And so I've been really aware of that. But I finally feel like I've gotten to this point where it's like, okay, I don't see myself sitting in this anymore as productive. I need to start to take steps forward for me. And so I wanted to pick up a new book, and I started reading the book, How to Stop Breaking Your Own Heart. And I picked it up because it focuses on how we have these habits that we've learned over our lifetime that are just self-sabotaging and lead to us falling into the same traps over and over and over again. And that only leads to us breaking our own hearts on repeat. My biggest saboteur that I've come to find is that I am a people pleaser. When I was younger, struggled to feel love from my friends, feel accepted, like a part of the group. And the only way that I could get those things was to bend over backwards, to be who they wanted me to be, to do the things that made them happy, and to be there at their beck and call. It's overall built this belief in me that I was not enough. And I was also never really given the chance to figure out who I really wanted to be, because I was so busy chasing the external validation from others, because I craved that love and acceptance and support. Unfortunately, after some processing, I realized in this past relationship that like I didn't actually recognize how much I was being criticized and how much I was not appreciated for all that I was and all that I did. And so it felt really empowering to pick up this book so I can start having those internal conversations that will help me step back into my power and not look for that validation in relationships and outwardly. There are 3 things from this book that I did want to share today that have helped me along in my healing journey. And I just wanted to share this with anyone that has been going through what I've been going through, or just even they find themselves in a season of healing right now from whatever it is that you might be dealing with. The first thing is embracing solitude as a way to get to know ourselves again. And this one's really big for me, because one of my largest fears in life has been feeling lonely. And so when this shift occurred, the thought of being alone and feeling lonely and just feeling the way that I felt when I was younger again, it absolutely terrified me. But if I know anything about growth, it's that the things that scare you most are the things that are really needing to be addressed. And if you address them, they will free you and lead you to what it is that you really desire. So having weekly dates with myself, having my quiet, cozy mornings, doing meditations at night before bed, even when I feel emotional and my mind is going wild, just being able to stop and talk it out with myself, all those things have been incredibly helpful. I've found myself not only stepping into my power in these moments, but also changing the belief about what it means to just be alone. One thing that I actually read recently that made me smile was, if you knew that the love of your life was right around the corner, how would you spend the rest of your nights being single? And I think that this applies to everyone, like not just the people that are single, but also to the people that are in relationships, like just anyone listening to this, is if we knew what it is that we wanted was really just right there, right around the corner, how would we spend the remaining time with ourselves? I know for me that I don't want to drown in depression because I really realize how short life is. And I also want to walk into this next chapter of my life knowing who I am, what's important to me, what my boundaries are. So I'm spending intentional time to figure that out, because when that person walks into my life, I might not have it all figured out, but I don't want to find myself making maybe the same mistakes, breaking my own heart again because I didn't take the time to actually be alone and start to really figure this out internally. So just think about that. In the time that you have from, now to what it is that you really want, who is it that you want to become? What do you want to spend your time doing? What are the things you want to start to check off the list? Like, that to me seems so much more empowering than just being like, when is it ever going to be my time? Which is a really easy mindset to get stuck in. The second thing that has really helped me along in my healing journey is being able to say yes to new experiences. If you go way back into like the olden days of when I started this podcast, there was one that I did years ago where I talked about the power of saying yes. And I talked about this because I find that we're better at making excuses to shield ourselves from that rejection, that fear, that discomfort, rather than just living our freaking lives. Now, I want to preface this in saying, don't just go out and start saying yes to everything, because there is also a lot of power in being able to say no. But what I'm talking about is just looking forward to saying yes to the things that truly get me out of my comfort zone and help me rewrite the beliefs that I have about not being enough, about getting rejected, like waiting for the other shoe to drop at some point, and not being able to trust myself. Like, if I was able to rewrite some of those things and beliefs that I had around that, oh my gosh, like I feel like I would be a completely different person. I'd navigate things so much differently. I actually came across this ad, and it was this event for people to meet each other up here in northern Colorado. And while I am not actively exploring to jump in any relationship by any means right now, the thought of doing that really intrigued me. It also scared the freaking hell out of me because my past has shown me that any time that I've shown up as myself, I get rejected. And just like I started to think about like, well, what if I'm like sitting in this corner alone and I'm not able to converse with anyone, and just all of these things. And I was like, I would not enjoy doing that at all. But that is just a belief, right? That is just a perspective. That is just thoughts coming from fears that I've had in the past. And those are not true. If I ever want to form beliefs that actually serve me, I have to go out and find out for myself. Like, I have to go find out what really would happen in this situation. I also need to adjust expectations that this is not to just meet the love of my life one day, but just to get to know more about myself and just to meet people. So whatever that experience might be for you, consider saying yes to it. And also, when you do that, set realistic expectations, because what could come from it could be absolutely game-changing for you. The last thing from this book that has really helped me so far is realizing that asking for help is a literal superpower. I think over time, I've tried to maybe come off that I have it all together and that I know what I'm doing. I do that as a way to try and shield myself from rejection and judgment and people taking me less seriously. saying it out loud, I know how silly that sounds and I know that it's not true, but it still doesn't stop me from feeling it when I know I need to ask for help and I struggle to ask for it. So in this season where I know I really need to ask for help and I need to lean on others, I'm doing my best to ask for help. I'm just being aware for it, of just simply asking for it. And even, having my friends like, hey, I'm putting this out there. I need some help. I need someone to lean on, some support. If it is not within your abilities to help me at that particular moment in time, please share that boundary with me and I will accept that. And that honestly makes me feel better, that I'm not burdening them or taking up their time and driving them nuts. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to push people away, right? So what's been amazing about this is when I do ask for help, I come to find that holy cow, there are a lot of people who are dying to help me right now and genuinely want to. And how dare I rob them of the opportunity, rob them of something that brings them joy. And this is ultimately where I want to leave you today is, I try not to scroll a ton because scrolling tends to lead to a black hole, but this was a really good thing for me. And I think that, the universe in some way or another was looking out for me. But as we enter into the thick of November, I just wanted to read this out loud. November is a reminder that everything you went through this year had a purpose. The chaos, the calm, the endings you didn't expect, and the beginnings you didn't plan, it all shaped you. It all prepared you. This month isn't about rushing to the finish line. It's about honoring how far you've come. Slow down, breathe, and trust that this season is preparing you for what's to come next. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today and for just listening, for being open, for being honest, for being brave, for willing to take action after this and just be okay with solitude, to really figure out those things that you need to do to heal and to move forward into this next step of life. Definitely stay tuned on the podcast. I'm not sure how many more of these types of episodes you'll get, but you know that they'll be real when they do hit. And also stay tuned because I'm working on a pretty stellar list of guests to interview on this podcast. So should have some good content coming for you guys. But until then, I'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Becoming Strong podcast. See you then.